The first thing I have to tell everyone is that there are many non-tech roles in tech companies. Look for people who know how to take ownership and accountability for the work that they'll be given. Is making sure that women get a voice and are visible in your organization.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. It's Abhishek Anand. Guys, today I have a very special guest from Microsoft. Her name is Kim. Kim, she is a very talented lady. Not just that, but she has influenced so many people around her. So let me take this opportunity to welcome Kim to our YouTube channel. Kim is a director at Microsoft for the customer success team. And I would like to welcome Kim and ask Kim to give us a quick introduction about herself. And we'll start with a little bit of your background, your schooling, and everything. And then, we'll carry it forward. So it's all yours, Kim.
Absolutely. Hello, Abhishek. Thank you for having me on your show. And hello, Abhishek's audience. I'm Kim Fuqua. As Abhishek said, I am a director of customer success at Microsoft and based in Microsoft, Netherlands. And to give you some background, I am a Chicago girl. So I was born and raised actually in Chicago, and moved to Naperville, which is a suburb of Chicago, and went to high school there at Naperville Central, and then subsequently went to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. Majored in marketing, but as you can see, I'm not quite working in marketing now. After leaving school back in, let's just say the early 90s, we don't have to get into the details. I decided that I wanted to live in North Carolina. My parents were both from the South, from Alabama, and the South was calling me home, so to speak, because I had many relatives there. And I decided to settle in North Carolina. I went there, ended up finding a mate and getting married, and then moving to Charlotte, still looking for a position in public relations and marketing. And I started looking for a temporary job as I searched for what I thought would be a permanent position in that field, in that discipline. And I ended up signing up with Adecco, which is, at least back then, and I think it still is, a temporary contracting agency, and they assigned me to Microsoft. And that's how I started the relationship there at Microsoft, or my career there. I became a recruiting assistant. And of course, as a recruiting assistant, I saw the types of skills, the talent, the experience, and also the salaries that they were paying at Microsoft. And I thought, perhaps there is a role here for me. At that time, I was able to get a mentor who was also a woman of color that had worked at IBM. And then she moved over to Microsoft. Her name was Pam Young. I'm sure she doesn't mind me saying her name. And really inspirational woman. And she became my sponsor. So I had my first mentor and sponsor even before I joined the company. And back in 1997, I became a full-time employee with Microsoft in their sales for their enterprise support division. And I sold product support to some of our largest customers, financial customers on the East Coast. That was my initial job. And then from there, I spent about 5 years doing that role. And then I moved to contract negotiation. So we had a whole team that was called the Services Business Desk that focused on negotiating custom or very large and strategic contracts. I did that for 5 years, and I left the company in 2007, because my son had been diagnosed with autism. And I knew at that time, I had to focus on helping him. And I also had a daughter. So my son was 5, my daughter was 8. And it was important for me to focus on my family. And I didn't think I would go back to Microsoft. And then a year later, my manager, that was my manager before I left Microsoft, called me and said, hey, can you just come back part-time, just as a contractor part-time? You can still do your mom thing and focus on your son and your family, but just come back part-time. And I said, okay, if the money is right, I'll do it. So I did. And then they said, hey, how about coming back full time and you can work from home and you don't have to travel as much? Because before I left, you can imagine Microsoft's a global company. I worked in a global role. I was traveling to Canada sometimes, to the UK.
You got off for a bit?
Yeah, I did a lot of that. So anyway, I came back full time and I decided if I was going to work this hard, and also if I had the flexibility that my manager was giving me, I also was going to focus on my career. So I went from there, from being a contract negotiator for the services contracts, I started on what is now called the deal desk. And I was a licensing executive for the deal desk. So I focused on large licensing contracts for our state and local governments, for 11 states in the Southeast and Southwest area. And then I went from there to be a transformational lead in our services organization. So I helped to professionalize a lot of our consulting services. And then from there, I went to be a trainer and a change management lead for a new support product that we had, our new enterprise support program, actually, called Unified Support. And then, and I can tell you the rest of that story at some point, I don't know if you want me to tell it now, I got the opportunity to come to the Netherlands. So there's much more to that, but that's the quick resume that I've had at Microsoft Netherlands over the past almost 26 years.
That's amazing, Kim. We'll come to the Netherlands in a bit, but before that, I noticed a few interesting facts in your early career. So you mentioned, I know, a lot of the young crowd is going to be watching this video, and a lot of students, a lot of young professionals are going to be watching. And you just mentioned that you were part of the recruiting team at Microsoft.
Yeah.
And I know, almost everyone in my circle, they want to be at Microsoft. So we want to know some insights. We want to know what's the secret recipe for a candidate who wants to work at Microsoft, who wants to land into a tech field, who wants to land in a FANG company, or let's say particularly Microsoft as well. So what's the recipe for the candidate who is applying? Or what are your insights? What are your thoughts as a recruiter, as a hiring manager? So
yeah. So now I'm a hiring manager. When I was a recruiting assistant, that was years ago. But I think that some of the things are still the same, Abhishek. Mm-hmm. What I believe really drives getting the right talent is when we're looking for people who take initiative. If I were to give any advice to those who want to join Microsoft, or really any probably tech company, but Microsoft in particular, is that they look for people who know how to take ownership and accountability for the work that they'll be given. And even more than that, look for opportunities. So certainly there's always a list of responsibilities or a particular role that you're given. But what Microsoft wants to see is that not only can you do that role well and take responsibility there, but you have the energy and you have the mindset of being an entrepreneur, even within the walls of a company that as of next year will have been around for 50 years. We look for entrepreneurial mindset. And that means that you own the business and the work that you're given, but you also seek out ways to expand that work in ways that will have impact in other parts of the company, with your colleagues, with your customers, with the people who you consider your stakeholders. So that's a big part, and taking initiative and accountability. And actually, we have kind of 4 pillars to our culture. It's built on a growth mindset. So that's the foundational piece, that you can always learn to do more and learn to be better. And that, yes, it's great that you have the intelligence and you have the intellectual capacity to do well in school and to get great grades. That's wonderful. But also know that you're never going to know everything. So you've got to have a learn it all attitude and approach your work with that. And Abhishek, probably as you know, in tech or any type of STEM occupation, things are constantly changing. We're constantly getting more information, learning more about technology, learning more about how we can improve whatever we're trying to improve, either a solution, a technological solution, or productivity, or whatever it is. So you have to have a learn it all mindset. So, and then the third thing I'll say is learn about the culture, learn about it from checking out our website, learn about it, how we brand ourselves. That's always really important. Some things we focus on from a leadership standpoint is being able to create clarity, generate energy, and deliver success. We expect people to have respect for themselves, for their colleagues, and for their customers. We expect them to have integrity, that accountability comes into play. And we look for people that want to drive the business, know their business, but also the how. How do you do that? Do you do it with, as I mentioned before, integrity and accountability, and with the mindset of I can do more? So that's what we look for in personality.
Is it okay to say like Microsoft looks for business partners in their employees? They treat you like a business partner. They allow you to be, give you all the freedom to take your own decision, take the ownership, be accountable for what you're doing. But at the same time, you're more like a partner and not like just an employee.
Absolutely. I think that's a good way to characterize it, that we look for business partners. Now, mind you, you will always have some goals or some KPIs, key performance indicators, that you'll be responsible for. So yes, but you have freedom, as you said, to drive those KPIs as long as it stays, within our culture, the right kind of culture. You have the freedom to drive that as a business partner, and we expect professionalism. So, when you get into Microsoft, if you were, able to get a role, there's an expectation that you are using your critical thinking skills to make good business decisions. Now, that doesn't always mean that you make every decision perfectly or you get it right every time. And that's what I mean by having a growth mindset, and having a learn it all approach. But you're thinking clearly and thinking critically about why you're doing what you're doing. You're making conscious decisions based on the information that you have, and perhaps the information and data that you go and get before you make that decision. But definitely we look for business partners, people with professionalism, and people who think through the decisions that they make and have a good business reason for why they make that decision. Absolutely.
Absolutely, Kim. So, Kim, like coming on to your role, I want to know a little bit more about it. This role in the team called the customer success management.
Yeah.
What is it? Like, a lot of people know about all the tech roles, the software development, the computer science, like all the programming. So that's what Microsoft is famous for. I know that. But this is something different. You have been traveling a lot, and then you landed up into a customer success team. What is customer success? It sounds very, very much appealing just by its name. Like you're working for the success of the customer. But I want to know about it. Like, what exactly do you do?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. The first thing I have to tell everyone is that there are many non-tech roles in tech companies. So in order for tech companies to sell and to brand themselves, you have to have sales teams, you have to have marketing teams, and you have to have teams that are focused on making sure customers have successful outcomes with the technology that's being built. And that's exactly what customer success is. So you said it, it's pretty self-explanatory, but to even kind of unwrap the gift a bit, or to peel the onion on it, it's focused on helping customers adopt and implement our technology. So, most people that understand technology and how it works, if you have just a simple 100 or 200 level understanding, you know that even though a customer may purchase the bits and bytes, or they may purchase the platform, the use of the platform in the cloud, it does not necessarily mean that they can immediately just start using it. They usually purchase and invest, is probably a better word, in that technology because they have some ideas in their head about certain business outcomes that they're looking for, because they want, SAP to run on a strong, stable, secure platform like Microsoft Azure, for instance, or because they're thinking about Copilot and what Copilot can do for productivity with their knowledge workers in their company. So that's what customer success does. We root out areas and use cases that customers have, and then we come up along with the customer. We act, as you mentioned, as a business partner internally, but also with our customers to determine, now, how do you take this technology and best apply it in your environment for your internal customers, for your knowledge workers, to make sure that you get the most out of that investment. So we talk about value realization. And value realization happens not just when you make the investment, but when you see the investment being used in an efficient and effective way within that organization. And that's what we focus on in customer success.
So it's not just like about customer experience, or it's not just like customer support. It's more like you are valuing your customers to a level that 99% of the time that customer would be retained. Like when the customer sees that a company has given us the subscription of this product, like let's say Microsoft Azure or Copilot, and it's not, or like everybody uses Microsoft Teams, so we have those, and we don't have to have our own IT team to fix everything for us. Like it's the Microsoft is investing their time for our growth. They're making sure that we are successful in what we want to do, and like we have a smooth running procedures, and like everything is like operating to a certain extent. And there are going to be problems all the time, I'm sure, but
all the time. Yeah.
But I guess like your team is like really into like making sure that your customer does like everything smoothly, and the business is being operated. If they have issues, you escalate it to your teams, and the more technical people, they come and help in resolving those technical issues, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And this way, I think that every company should have this. It's like sort of like let me say it this way, that it is a retention program for a customer.
Yeah. It's making fans, loyal fans out of your customers, and making your platform what we call sticky, right? We want them to stick and stay, as you said. And a big part of that is making sure that, number one, our technology can help them be successful. So we need to know, what are you trying to use this technology for, so we can come up with a plan to make sure that you're successful with the technology. But the other things that you said are also important. So a small part, but a part of the people on my team, part of their job is making sure that the customer experience all up is a fantastic experience, not just a good one, but because we know that we have competitors. I mean, that's actually part of being a good tech company, that they're coming for you, right? Your competitors are coming for you, and they're looking to take market share away from you. So it's very important that we also look at the complete experience with our platform, with our technology. And so that is part of it. Customer health and customer experience, customer support is a part of that. So making sure that when there are issues, and let's just face it, the technical landscape is so vast and so broad that, of course, there will be an issue every once in a while. But the key is that the majority of the time, customers have a stable, secure, reliable, and resilient platform to use for all of the different projects and solutions and productivity that they're looking for from their knowledge workers. So all of that is a part of customer success, but at the root of it is adopting, implementing, and getting value from our technology.
Interesting, very interesting role. I'm super interested in this role. I think every company needs to have this team. Like, like definitely it's a game changer, um, to have a loyal customer base, and then they see the value in what you're doing. Absolutely. So, Kim, so let's talk about a little bit more metrics. So, like you said, like when you started in the customer success roles in Netherlands, and
Yeah,
you were shocked to see that it's, look, mostly all of your
middle
team
aged
was
white guys.
male,
Yeah,
all white guys. So, what do you like? I don't want to go into like exact numbers, like
yeah.
on an average, like what you think, like in your particular organization, like not on all over Microsoft, but just like in your organization, how you think like you have changed that over the past couple of years. Like what's the change that you have seen? How many women are there over how many men from what it used to be before? So
So, I won't say that I drove this change. I've only been here at Microsoft Netherlands for 4 years, so I'm contributing to it. But it wouldn't be just me, as I mentioned before.
right.
It's always a team play. But what I have seen is an improvement, up to over 35% of Microsoft Netherlands having women. So in
Mm,
its ranks, whether at the leadership and at every level too, at the leadership ranks, mid management as well as early in career. So we're definitely seeing some
mm,
changes there. I'd like to see more improvements in diversity, especially in the technical roles. So
mm,
we see a lot of the number of women that we do have. When I talk about that 35%,
mhm,
they come in on the business side. They have a lot of skills when it comes to sales and customer success, as we were talking. But I also am starting to see an uptick in the
mhm,
number of cloud solution architects that we hire being women, and the number of technical specialists being women. So, but what it takes is that we start at a younger age. Microsoft Netherlands has a dream space that we provide to many of the young people that we want to bring in. So when I say young people, I
mm,
mean people like starting at 8 or 9 years old, to expose them and inspire them about technology. And I think it must start at that younger age if we want to see them come in at 21,
mm,
22, and a little bit older as interns and as early in career.
mm.
We got to start young. But yeah, to your point, we are seeing improvements. It's over a third now. I would like to see that keep improving. Uh, so we still have some work to do.
Definitely. And like to wrap up this conversation, like what do you think
Yeah.
there's like a few piece of advices that you will give it to somebody who wants to sponsor women to
Mm,
like to make this happen, like take some action items. I'll take it on me. I'll take it on me.
yeah.
So like what are some of the action items that we could do to bring more women into the industry, into our workplace, and give them the equal opportunity, and make the numbers higher and higher. Like it's happening, but like how can we take it to the next level? So anybody who thinks like listening to this podcast, they're inspired by your journey and they're inspired by your thoughts, what would be your piece of advice to them?
Start simple.
Hmm,
Don't make it complex. There are some
hmm,
things that we experience on a daily basis that could help you become a better ally. One of the things I can think of, and I had this experience at Microsoft Netherlands, is making sure that women get a voice and are visible in your organization.
hmm,
So I remember being in a people management meeting, and it was because I was new to Microsoft Netherlands and new to this team. I was coming in, and many people didn't know me. But there was a gentleman that was sitting right next to me. I think there was a question or a discussion going around the table, and I was trying to get my message and my comment heard. And he saw me trying to do this. And he had authority. People knew who he was, so they would listen to him. And he literally stopped the table and said, "Hey guys, I think this woman has been trying to, I don't think he knew my name, has been trying to make a comment for the past 10 minutes. Can you please stop for a moment and allow her to make her comment and make her contribution to the discussion? And so it's things as simple as that. Notice, be observant, and make sure that you are doing what you can to make sure that women's voices are heard, whether it's in a meeting, whether it's on a Teams call, whether it's, in presentations, in any kind of opportunity that you have in the workplace, make sure that they're getting their voice heard. And if you start there, then you'll get all kinds of other opportunities. I like what you're doing. You're participating in the women's ERG. How great is that? Because when other people, especially men, Abhishek, see you doing that, you're role modeling for them what it means to be an ally. And we can't do this by ourselves. And in fact, we shouldn't do it by ourselves, because we're not the ones that are perpetrating sexism. It's the people, who I talked about, some of the people that, look like who are men that are sometimes perpetrating the sexism. So we need people who understand that to counteract it, and to do things like what you're doing, give voice to women. And something else, this is something I see a lot, is interruption. When a woman is talking, I notice sometimes that men feel more comfortable interrupting their female colleagues than they do their male colleagues. Again, simple thing. And I notice when I talk, you allow me to finish my sentences and then you talk. You don't interrupt me so what I think sometimes people think it's like this really big thing, they have really big impact. It's really the simple everyday ways and behaviors that you have that make a difference in helping women to be visible and helping them to get their voices heard and to show that you value their voice once it's heard.
So inspiring, and so I just don't have words now. I'm sorry, Kim. Yeah, it's I think I'm gonna keep doing it, and all the things that you mentioned, all your tips, like giving the women the voice on the table.
Yes.
I think like it's letting the women tell you what they want, what they want, instead of like you going and doing something for them. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this for you. No, I don't want to do this for you, but I want you to just have your voice, just speak for yourself, give you ideas. We'll talk about it, we'll criticize it a bit, and we'll see what is the best that can work for our customers, for our company, for our organization. And we can come to a better solution as a team of men and women and all the people working on that team. And, not just the person who has authority on the team, or not just the men, but all people. It's a collab.
Yes.
It's a collaboration. It's a team effort.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Kim, for driving this conversation and inspiring our audience on YouTube. A lot of people are going to listen to this podcast, and I really, really hope that they really get to take something home when they end up watching this podcast, and they learn something from it. I always try to bring more people like you to share their stories on my channel. And another interesting fact, just before I leave, I'll say that so far, the number of podcasts that I've done, more than 60% of the podcast, or 65%, I will say, have done, and they are with women. And women have been more proactive to accept that invitation, to take that opportunity to say me, yes, I can do this. I would like to participate. So you can see that there is a difference. The women want to do things. They want to come up and lead. So it's just about giving them the voice, giving them the platform, giving them the opportunity to do it.
That's exactly it, Abhishek. I could not have said it better. Give them the platform. So thank you for what you're doing, because that's also making a difference, and that's being an active ally with impact. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, and everybody, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. and I will keep bringing more of these podcasts. So thank you, everybody, and keep watching. Have a good day.